Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's your hosts Ian and Gary.
Hello.
And today we're joined by Geoff.
Hello.
And today we're going to review Another Earth, which came out at the end of 2011 and was a Sundance Film Festival award winner. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis for Another Earth?
Well, the story follows a girl called Rhonda who causes an accident which claims the life of a man's wife and child. She is imprisoned for 4 years, and when she is released, she starts to build a relationship with this man, all the while with another Earth in orbit of her Earth.
That's a big first appeal to this movie, is that when you look at the poster art or the trailer for the movie, it kind of, to begin with, sells itself to you as this science fiction drama about another Earth that has just appeared over a space of 4 to 5 years in the film time, just coming closer and closer to our Earth. And so we call that Earth 2. And the film, you would believe, would be an exploration of this science fiction phenomenon, which is, completely implausible, perhaps, actually happening. But the film is not about that, per se. That's sort of like the Outer Limits, Twilight Zone sort of casing for this heartfelt drama, which is unfolding under the backdrop of this happening.
The story of this film is amazing. I simply can't praise this film enough. The writer, Brit Marling, she wrote it with Cahill, and he directed it, and she just plays this amazing character. I hated her right from the start. I will admit, right at the beginning of the film, she causes the accident which claims the life of John Burroughs' wife and son, and I just wanted to reach in my TV and punch her, but I was just like, nope. She's playing a character. This is how she wrote her. Just go with it. And following her story all the way through with this other Earth in orbit, it's just there in the background. I'm like, this film is so beautiful.
The film kind of really does hit you very early on with a kind of emotional gut punch. I mean, she's celebrating. She's a very intelligent girl. We get that right from the beginning. We know she's off to a very successful university.
She's off to MIT.
MIT. So she's celebrating and she's drinking and she's driving home. And don't drink drive.
No.
Just say that.
No.
But she's listening to the radio, and it's the very first announcement of Another Earth. And it's where she's hanging out the window, and of course, it just cuts away from her to the family. Kind of, they're just, they're sat there, they're parked, they're sort of kissing each other, and they're smiling and they're happy. Yeah. And it's just out of nowhere.
Bob the robot.
He looks to me like a Bob. She's in there all right.
I hope so.
Put Ryan light.
Light?
That's a good one.
And you kind of think that the scene's going to end, but it doesn't. You actually see her get out of the car to go over, and she sees the wife's body in the car. She sees the husband in the car, and she goes to the back seat, and you're just like, oh, the child's not in the back seat. You already saw the windshield broken. It's a very gut-wrenching opening sequence.
They really do set the precedent for the rest of the film. The kind of mood, the tone of the whole film. Immediately you realise that this is a very serious, a very kind of thoughtful and thought-provoking expose on what's about to happen to this girl. And it doesn't hold back any punches. You can really tell that the film is now beginning to focus on the emotions and the psychological responses that are about to come as a consequence of that event. And so immediately brings you into that. And so the concept of this other Earth coming into it, as you progress through the film, it begins to become more and more apparent that this other Earth isn't really what the film is about. The other Earth is just there as a reminder for what is ultimately going to become a metaphorical representation of the possibilities of the choices that this girl will face and could face. And it's set in, I think it might be New Hampshire. the way the shots are lined together, it's visually very beautiful, isn't it? You know, like they don't have a very big budget in the film, but the architecture of the houses that they are set in, and the scenery that the place is actually depicting, it's almost very English, isn't it? You've got this kind of real sort of historical sort of sense in the film, and it comes together as a really artistically shot piece.
It was a very urban backdrop, and you see lots of graffiti, and you see her cleaning in the school, and it's just kind of that run-down kind of look. And the film quality sometimes is very grainy. There's a couple of shots that are really grainy that you would consider very amateur, and also in tangent with the editing style and the camera work, where the camera will just zoom in moments, you know, but it's punctuating moments of her thought and of her not being able to deal with the situations that she's in. There's a scene where she's sort of breaking down after certain relationships have escalated in certain ways. The way the camera will kind of just hazily balance left and right, or just rock, almost like the levels of insanity that she's going through. And so I think that the editing, the camera work, and the stylistics all worked in capturing and emoting what the characters were expressing also.
See, like I said, I just wanted to hit her, but she was such a just awesome character, Rhonda. I mean, as soon as she comes home, you see her trying to get along with her family. She knows what she's done. The family know what she's done. It's been 4 years. They're trying to build a relationship again. They take her back to her bedroom, and she just strips it back down to a simple bed and a picture, and
like a prison cubicle.
Yeah, and I just watched Brit Marling play her, and just watching her walk from home to work and over to John's house, just those long shots of her just with her hood up, walking with the earth in the background, which is so beautiful. Compared to some shots that we do have in the cinema, like I'd put this one next to Optimus Prime transforming for me. It was just so beautifully done. The camera work.
This film is a film about exploration, but it's not about exploration of another Earth. It's actually about the exploration of the psyche and the consciousness of a person who makes some very silly mistakes and carries a great burden of guilt for it. And the film uses the other Earth to kind of bring out certain metaphorical and metaphysical ideas, and to enable the moral of the tale to be told. And I think the way it does it, it could be argued is absolutely beautiful.
Just imagine that you're asleep and then you wake. You're not sure where you are. You're not sure if anyone else is around. What would you probably do first? You likely would look around and say, "Hello? Hello?" You're attempting to find, am I alone? We here on Earth would like to know.
The narrative is split up in quite a few sequences where you'll hear sort of the fourth wall, radio broadcasts or TV broadcasts or scriptures sort of being read out, and each one sort of poses the viewer watching the movie to ponder these questions whilst watching the actual narrative of the film play out, because the two of them only sort of sometimes lightly connect, where one of the most poignant points in the movie is asked of you as to what would you honestly ask yourself if you were faced with an identical version of you from another Earth.
Yeah.
But the film doesn't actually go there. There's a lot of questions asked in this film, posed to the viewer, which the film just doesn't explore, which is a shame. And it is an opportunity here for the filmmakers to really explore some very philosophical issues, but they do tend to shy away from it and then just kind of present more of the drama that's unfolding, which is still fantastic. So on some levels the philosophy is quite shallow, but if you have an open mind and are perceptive to some of the filmmaking techniques that have gone into this, you will be deeply, richly rewarded with the conversations that you will have sparked from this movie, or perhaps your own research or your own values as a human being, because this film is a real testament to the exploration of the human heart that for a lot of viewers will find very difficult to watch.
Listen to me. Keep your mind clear. And that's it. You will have peace of mind. My dear, don't worry. Learn to adjust yourself.
See, that's it. This film is just so breathtaking. We literally could sit here and take the film apart scene by scene, but you just have to watch this film. If you can get a copy of this film, you will sit down, you will watch it, you will question it yourself, you will question their characters, the way they are delivered to you. Oh, I just don't want to spoil it for you.
Brit Marling's performance is fantastic. The fact that she has written the film, or co-written the film, really means that she is that character. You know, she has her heart and soul in every scene in that film, and there's not a single point where you are broken from the spell of the believability of the film. It's as authentic as it could possibly be, and she's a beautiful, incredibly, deeply strong character. She plays a fantastic female role, and one of the beautiful things about the film is that ultimately this exploration of the psyche is coming from a genuinely female perspective, and the film loses nothing for that. I mean, as three men trying to describe to you and sell to you the idea that this film is worth watching, one of the things that I would say is that it was a real eye-opener for me into also the female perspective on, and the depth of female perspective on human interaction.
Oh,
Mr. Burroughs.
good. Come on. You can start where you finished.
I was wondering if I could talk with you about something.
Not now. A little bit later.
Favorite scene?
There are some jaw-droppingly beautiful moments in this film, and a lot of them come from moments where there's nothing actually said or spoken. It's just the way that they react to each other. But there is one moment in the film that really captured what I thought that the film was perhaps about, and it's the sequence where she's telling him the story of the Russian astronaut in space, and she's talking about how he's forever listening to this tapping, and it's driving him insane, and he's going to have to go weeks and weeks listening to this tapping, and he's tearing out the console and everything else. You're picturing this, she's just telling you the story.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where the two of them are actually starting to connect, where, they hadn't actually introduced you to each other, their names, they just kind of have this work relationship, but they're now actually exploring these issues, and she explains to him how the astronaut got over this noise by blocking out his mind and just replacing it with music. So learning to love something that you would, by all intents, drive you fucking crazy, which is, in essence, an echo of their situation. And so I thought that it was absolutely beautiful.
And he goes into his imagination. And when he opens them, he doesn't hear ticking anymore. He hears music.
I think I have to agree with Gary on that my favourite scene is that scene. There's also one other scene which really stood out for me too, which is where she stood on the beach, and it's getting close to the point where the transfer is going to happen for the other Earth. And it's a really beautifully shot scene where the Earth is beginning to get really, really big in the sky. And the way the colours are saturated, and there's just this really sort of peaceful moment where she's having time with herself and looking. And there is no dialogue from Brit Marling's character in this moment, but there is just the radio playing in the background. And it's a scientist talking about the other Earth and exploring the philosophy of what if you could meet the other you, what if you could effectively look in the mirror but look at it in a different way. What if these subtle changes, how do they echo and reverberate through life? And the beautiful thing, the wonderful thing about the film is that in those moments they take you away from the dialogue and away from the interactions of the characters, and they just have those ponderous moments. And there's another moment in there as well where they discuss Plato's cave, and they raise the questions fantastically in those films, in this film. And when they raise the question, they give you the moment, just enough time, and the timing of the film to really allow you to ponder it and think it for a second, think about it, and then they carry you on through the journey in the film.
See, I'm going to break our norm for a moment, because I'm actually going to talk about my most hated scene. I like I said, I absolutely loved this film. I loved what the director did and the actress did, but there was just one moment, and spoilers, if you're planning on watching it, stop now. Stop watching this review, because Rhonda and John end up, building such a relationship that they return back to John's house and end up having sex. But this is before Rhonda has actually told John that she was the cause of the accident. And I just felt such betrayal, at that moment, thinking, you still need to tell him, he's still going to hate you, and all this is just, it's not worth it. So I absolutely hate that scene, but I absolutely love the film, and I cannot recommend this film enough. You really need to watch this film.
Our Earth is replicated elsewhere.
There's another you out there.
Now you begin to wonder,
The other me made the same mistakes I've made. And is that me better than this me?
And there's another scene that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the hospital sequence where the old man, the old cleaner, is dying, and he's blind, and she starts writing in the palm of his hand, and the film sort of only shows you half of what she's writing, but we guessed that it was forgiveness, which is also in essence the crux of what the entire movie is about. And so there are so many subtle little things like that in the film that are only there if you remain invested in what you're watching. Because if you want a science fiction movie that's explaining this other Earth, you're only going to get about 2 minutes of content in the film. Which was a fantastic sequence where you have the two operators of SETI Earth-1 and SETI Earth-2, talking to each other, and it's the same woman, and they have the moments where they sort of both getting upset because they both have had this shared lives.
Yeah, there is a synchronicity, and they believe that in the end they realise that synchronicity is broken at the moment that they see each other, the moment they look in the mirror, that there's the possibility then that the mirror image is causing somebody to look the different way, At the moment that somebody looked up to the right to see the other Earth on this Earth, they look to the left to see the Earth on Earth 2. And it explores the idea through that metaphor of what if you look at yourself in the mirror and decide to make a different choice. And there's some beautiful, so many layers and levels at which they explore that transition. And the development of Brit Marling's character starts out in this cold winter setting in which she, has no fear and no... in fact, she attempts to embrace the coldness and freeze out the pain that she is experiencing. But as the film... And she dresses in this really kind of extremely covered
She looks like a hobo.
Yeah, she looks like a
finds
hobo
herself.
to begin with. She looks like the jailbird that she is. But as the film goes on, the scene and the setting warms, and she becomes more and more feminine through it, and begins to dress and express herself in more and more warmth and empathy as the love that she has between John Burroughs' character, and that you also get to see her character blossom as the film goes on.
Yeah.
So as a piece, that it truly is a really artistic film piece.
In terms of its direction, writing, music, editing, camera work, it is a fantastic film. I think some viewers could be bored by the film not really exploring some of the issues that it does, but I think if your mind is open enough to it, I think you'll just dive right into this film in all of its philosophies. I think are fantastic just to explore, even on a surface level, and I really recommend that you do watch Another Earth. It shouldn't be missed.
I love this movie.
Of course I recommend it.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.